and welcome to another episode of Living Disabled with their host, Bethany Tucker. Recovering disabled was a very challenging, very rough, very unknowing, uncertain, everything. After almost drowning at Lake Michigan, Grand Haven State Park, I was airlifted to Spectrum Health, where I stayed for 3 weeks in ICU with no light, no sound, for fear of any further brain damage occurring to my brain. They didn't want any activity going on, to let my brain just rest and be calm. During that time, I was at Spectrum Health. My brain also was undergoing what I couldn't find out was called neurostorming, which is your brain misfiring. So my brain was misfiring, going crazy. I was thrashing around like a wild woman, my mom said. Just wild. I did that for the whole 3 weeks I was in ICU. My mom told me the only time I would be relaxed is when I got my hair washed. And when I got my hair washed, I would be relaxed, still, just relaxed, not tense, tight, nice and calm. After or going on the third week of me being at Spectrum Health, I was going to either transition into a nursing home or either to a rehab facility in Grand Rapids called Mary Free Bed. They were renowned. They're known really good, great care for their brain injury patients. So, a woman from my insurance came out to do an assessment to see if I qualified to go to Mary Free Bed. Because, you have to have a certain level of attention span and ability to go there. So she came out 3 times. The first 2 times she came out, I wasn't doing nothing. She came and she would say, wiggle your toes or blink your eyes or do something. Hold up one finger or stick your tongue out or do something. I wasn't doing nothing. My mom had to beg this woman. She was going to come back out. She was about to write in her book like she going to go to a nursing home because, she not responded. My mom begged this woman, please come back to my child one last time, because this is my baby and I love her and she my baby. She's so young, so please come back and give her one more chance. And my mom asked her, do you have any kids? She said no. And my mom said, you don't get it. So the lady came out. She came out again and she said, I don't know, blink your eye. And I opened up my eye. Just enough to do something. Or she would say, wiggle your toes. Or I would wiggle a toe or move it or something. She would say, anything she would say for me to do, I was responding at the bare minimum, like barely, but I was hearing her. Clearly I was hearing her. I was able to respond and just do something, So she gave me the approval, the okay to go to Mary Free Bed. So the next phase in my recovery was going to Mary Free Bed, which was a world-renowned neurological rehab facility for people with brain injuries, like myself. It was intensive rehab, in-house, inpatient rehab. We lived there, we ate there, we slept there, we bathed there. That was our homes, When I first got there on June 28th, 2002, I remember my first therapist. I got there in a wheelchair. He was like, get up, start walking. I'm like, what? I can talk, mind you. So I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking like, what's he talking about? Okay, so I'm like, okay. He said, get up. And I'm still just in there. So he pulls me up. He put a gate belt around my waist, to control me. He said, he lift me up. And do you know, I collapsed. I didn't, I didn't even know what standing was. I mean, he said, get up. I'm like, what are you talking about? Get up, get up. What does get up mean? Like, I knew what get up was, but I didn't know how to stand up. And that's how severely damaged I was, my brain was. I didn't know how to sit up, stand up, roll over, crawl, walk. I didn't learn how to use my hands and my arms in every way imaginable. From lifting them up to having them out wide like this, put on deodorant, dressing. That's all occupational, like daily living tasks, like getting dressed, feeding yourself. I had to learn all that stuff too. But physically, I had to learn everything. To crawl. I mean, I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't walk and move, nothing for months. And then speech. Couldn't speak. Couldn't swallow. Couldn't chew. Couldn't do nothing. They taught me all that, the basics of it. I learned how to swallow, through practice. Because I would swallow stuff and I would choke because my flaps, my flaps that's in your throat, my throat wasn't closing up. It was delayed. It wasn't closing at first. It was staying open. And if it stays open, then you choke, on whatever you're swallowing. So I had a feeding tube in for a while because I had to eat, but I wasn't able to eat because my flaps was affected and it wasn't closing. So I was at risk for choking. And not only that, I couldn't chew. I could not chew. I couldn't suck a straw. I could not put my lips around a fork or a spoon. I didn't know nothing. Literally, I did not know how to do anything. Literally, okay? I mean, nothing. When it came to speaking, I couldn't say nothing. I could yell, but I could not speak anything. Speech was fun because it allowed me to challenge my brain and use my brain to it gave me a sense of excitement when she would ask me questions or she would say, what color is this? And I would have to either try to say what it was or give her, say somehow relate to her what it was. That speech is also a form of cognitive training as well. But it was rough. That was hard, going through there and then having to relearn everything. Speaking, swallowing, chewing, sucking, to how to engage or how to have fun, really, because I had recreational therapy, which was a therapy where we just played board games, or we just drew, or we colored, or I remember I did this tie-dye shirt. It was leisure therapy. Just to, to get you, and I remember I used to go, and I didn't, wasn't doing nothing because I didn't know anything to do. But then as time went on, I had a really nice therapist. She was really cool. She was very cool, and she worked with me, and I got into different things like tie-dye shirts and just different little stuff like that. That was amazing though. That was I would never forget that place because they taught me the basics, like about chewing, swallowing, sucking, and then the basics of walking, because I learned how to sit up, there. I learned how to stand up, and I began to walk there. I had to relearn how to walk again, because my feet were also affected in my brain damage. Shoes were a challenge, so walking took longer, and it's still a struggle to this day because my gait is messed up. So your gait means your walking style or your walking pattern. You're walking the way that you walk, your stride, you know, your gait. So that was very rough. Learning how to walk again. Next venture in my recovery was when I made it back home. I came back home August 28th, 2002. That was a shocker because I was like, wow, I'm back at home. And I have to lay here. I have to, and it was a transition because I hadn't stayed in my bed for 3 months. You know, so me not having that 24-hour care to come assist me, that was hard. And having to wait on my mom, my dad, my brothers to do for me when at the hospital, you know, nurses were pretty much on it. So that was the transition for me to go back home to just being at home and having my mom, my brother, or my dad give me therapy at home until I can get into Sparrow Rehab, which is in Lansing, that I ended up getting into. That's where I was trying to go, is to my therapy. But I want to touch on home life because I first came home and the first couple of nights it was rough and like it just felt weird and I cried and I was saying I wanted to go back but I couldn't. Yeah, I just missed the atmosphere, the vibe there. But I was home now. So I'm home now. I first go to therapy. My mom and dad get me back with enrolled in school, but right now we're just gonna talk about the therapy. Okay, I started going to Sparrow Outpatient Rehab that same year. I believe it was that September. Like right after I got home, I went straight to Sparrow Outpatient. Like June, you know, we're right there, and I did that for 2 years straight. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 years straight. OT, PT, speech. Oh my God. I mean, you talking about and I'm going to school part-time at this time. So, and I'm just fresh out of rehab. So my brain is still like, whoa, hold up. Like, you ain't rested yet, you know. But I was pushed into that, you know. So outpatient was not much different, I found out, than inpatient. Just you don't live there, but it was still the same intensity. PT, you had it, you know. Really, just I was in a wheelchair when I got back home, so they would wheel me back there, and you know I would have to try to get up. They would lift me up and sit me on the little bench or the little bed, and just it was crazy. Like I had to literally learn how to do everything over again. Sit up, crawl. I mean, tie my shoes, put socks on. I remember going through that, having to learn how to put on socks and learning how to put on shoes and pants and shirts, and that's for the OT. But I'm just in general, like therapy at Sparrow Outpatient was rough too because I didn't have, but I feel like was the support of a staffing hospital, you know, that I could just go and relax at. So I would do PT or OT first, then speech, or I would do them all. I would do them all in one day. So I had speech, OT, and PT. OT consisted of fine motor, picking up little stuff and placing it in this bucket, or picking up a little bead and putting it in this hole, or picking up and releasing. I also had to do with vision acuity, so picking up a cup and placing it, setting it over here, or picking up setting over there, or and then it got into the practicalities, like I mentioned, putting on socks, you know, putting on a shirt, zipping up, you know, eventually we got to zipping, that was a while later, but I'm saying in the initial stages though, it was all about fine motor, grasping and placing and arm strength and shoulder strength, and so much that I didn't even realize, you know, because when you're born, you're naturally get stronger by doing stuff. I just It was crazy. I just went from that to nothing, to being completely weak. So I had to learn how to do everything over again. That is my recovering disabled. Stay tuned for more episodes of Living Disabled with your host, Bethany Tucker. Take care and be blessed.